Hello, I'm Gary C. Johnson. I developed a method of representing my clients called judo law. Using judo law, our team set the record for the largest personal injury verdict in the state of Kentucky. No other law firm has even come close. We've had several multi-million-dollar verdicts since then, and guess what? Now, most of our cases settle.
GaryCJohnson.com, 800-337-4002.
If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson tries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law of Life provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law of Life with Gary C. Johnson and Keith Casebolt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into the radio program, Simply the Law for Life, brought to you by my friend who created it, Gary C. Johnson. I'm Keith Casebolt. Hello, friend.
It's wonderful to be here.
Yes.
And today we're going to start off talking about the lottery.
Well, I didn't check as to what it's up to. But I'm sure it's a good enough amount. So you've got my attention.
I'm going to talk about how my friends won the lottery.
Well, now you got everybody's attention.
Okay. And it's this Wizard of Oz ads.
You're reading from Roy Williams again.
From Roy Williams.
Yeah.
Congratulations, my friend. You won the big lottery. Now I'm going to read to you what he says about that. Lincoln, Nebraska. Valencia Mueller stops at Wagner's Food Pride and buys a single lottery ticket. And then she wins. I had trouble catching my breath, she says. This only happens in dreams or in the movies, not in real life. Wow. I think she overreacted. Even if Valencia Mueller had won the ultimate payoff against odds of 54 million to 1, it would have been no big deal because Valencia had already won a much bigger lottery against much greater odds. Valencia Mueller had been born. I asked Ryan J. Sokol of the Statistics Department of Texas A&M University to calculate the odds of a specific individual being born. Ryan estimated the total number of fertile men and women in the world, calculated the number of different genetic possibilities a man might contribute, adjusted for the number of hours of female fertility each month, then factored in a long list of other considerations. The bottom line of Ryan's lengthy report to me said, the chance that you, meaning exactly you, would ever be born are 1 in 1.3 times 10 to the 29th power. Now what that means is, in other words, 130 trillion to 1 chances that you and I, my friend, would be born.
Wow.
You and I, my friend, are two incredibly, amazingly, unbelievably lucky people. We both won the genetic lottery. Compared with the odds of being born, the odds are very good that you will be elected president, be a senator, marry exactly the perfect person. Yeah. All kinds of odds out there that are much more smaller than being born. You've already won a lottery more amazing than humankind could ever devise. You have already been awarded a prize far richer than anything the world has to give. You are alive, you are here, and you ought to make the most of it.
Wow.
That's a little thing from that book, The Wizard of Oz.
You know, while you're reading that, I'm just sitting there thinking, how many times have we jumped up and down, as this lady did? It didn't even say the amount that she won on the lottery, but she was so excited and so happy because, quote, she won the lottery.
Couldn't believe she could be that lucky.
How it was only things that happen in movies. Mm-hmm. And yet the author here points out we rarely ever show excitement about the fact that we just won a lottery that involved trillions and trillions and trillions of chances, odds of not being here. Kind of puts things in perspective.
So now, my friends, you have now again been reminded of how important you are.
Yeah, so anybody that won the lottery and they go, oh, it was 1 in 50 million, you can look at them and say, well, guess what I did? I won the genetic lottery, and it was one in
trillions and trillions and trillions.
trillions.
Absolutely. I was born.
Gary, that's just a perfect way for the author to point out how important a single life is.
Some of my friends out there right now are feeling bad, are feeling down, wanting to get depressed.
Unlucky.
The voice in their head is doing them in, the negativity, and they're listening to it.
Yeah.
And I know that for a fact, not a doubt in my mind about it, because I picked up a book.
That says all those things were going on.
Yeah. It's a little book, 3 Questions of Life, by Don Michael Ruse, an author. And he talks about me.
In the sense, you're not saying Gary C. Johnson, you're saying me. As in him.
And this is what he says. You talk about yourself all the time. You say me, mine, myself countless of times in the course of an ordinary conversation. Through me, you say things like, hey, this is important to me, or are you listening to me, or what are they saying about me? Me is everything you believe you are. Me is everything related to the character you forged out of core beliefs and countless experiences. And that's what he's talking about, me. Then he goes on. The word me, or its counterparts in any language, is a simple pronoun. And like every word in the language we speak, it has no meaning until we agree upon a meaning. The difference is that me comes with a lot of baggage, past memories, judgments, automatic assumptions. Oh, assumptions, right?
Yeah.
We put a lot of faith in our identity and expect it to matter to other people. Who we think we are develops into a mythology. We share the myth of me with old friends and new acquaintances. We tell riveting stories about ourselves. We send photos to back up our stories. We celebrate me in so many different ways. We post often about me.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
Me always refers to the person speaking, but we don't give much consideration to who that might be. We say, look at me, indicating that we want attention given to this human being, but also to this thought process, these frustrations, these expectations. We feel sympathy for ourselves, but to the one listening, look at me could evoke other emotions. Our idea of who we are isn't everyone's idea of who we are. It may not be anyone's idea.
So you're saying there's a different opinion out there.
Then he says, me doesn't refer to the body we occupy. Me doesn't describe the energy that moves through us. Me isn't a primal thing because we didn't invent a self until we learned a language. Me didn't exist until we began to see the world through symbols and their meanings. In short, me doesn't refer to anything real. It refers to an image, an idea we have of ourselves that we've attempted to put into words called me.
That's pretty deep, my friend.
It's deep, isn't it? Now,
Yes, it is.
this is somebody else said, me is not what you actually are. You are life, or the energy that made you a physical being. Life runs through your body and makes it able to move, to love, to feel. Life's energy created your miraculous brain. It made a thinking mind possible and gave you voice to its main character. Life is everything seen and unseen. Only life exists. Remember the lottery?
Mm-hmm.
You were born. You now have life. That's what he's saying about it. I want to read you just a little bit more about what he said about this we thing. We want to be healthy, but so often our judgments make us sick by how we conduct ourselves and how we eat and how we treat our body. But yet we want to be healthy.
But we don't do the things that we have the power and control to do.
We want to be spiritually aware, but our beliefs keep us spellbound and binds us from really becoming spiritually aware. If we take the time to listen to what we think and say, we have a chance to be more honest with ourselves. Behavior follows belief, and any belief can be modified. If we challenge our own opinions, we can begin to find our way back to authenticity. Do we always have to be right? Do we really need to have the last word? If our actions do not represent the kind of people we want to be, we can take new paths of action. We can change.
Oh, my goodness.
Then he goes on, and I'm going to read you maybe one more little bit about what he has to say about it.
That was a lot on the individual there, because all of a sudden I'm seeing the picture that you're talking about. All of our life's experiences, all of our beliefs that were taught to us, the way we were raised has formed this image that we consider to be me.
To be me.
Now the author is saying, question everything, think about it, and if you do, you could change who me is.
And that me is a myth that you've created.
Out of experiences. There's only life, and your life. I'm following you.
Okay. Then he goes on, this author says, to say this: your body is real, but me is fictional. And yet me is running the show. How many times have you defended your actions and not understood why? At times, we all regret doing things we consider inexcusable or saying things we don't really mean. We like to say, I'm only human. But it's not our humanness that's causing the problem. So it's natural to wonder, who really is in charge? Who am I? We wonder, not really expecting or wanting an answer.
Yeah.
No one stops to ask who they're not, and that's where you have to begin, by asking, who are you not?
The reverse angle to it.
Right.
Okay.
Be aware of yourself as energy, and everything changes. Here's how that works. You are no longer the victim of your beliefs. You are the creator. You are the artist. You are also the painting, the canvas that is your reality. Imagine picking up a brush and painting a figure that looks like you. Imagine doing that constantly for the rest of your life. Unlike most figures in a painting, however, this one has a brain. It has a brain with a mind that gives meaning to what it perceives. It functions beautifully, but it's not aware that there is an artist. Every day the scenario changes. Instant by instant, there are subtle changes happening to the painter's main points of focus. The figure itself is coming alive at your touch.
Gary, are you saying that the author is telling us that it is so simple that this me, or who we are, is nothing more than a picture on a canvas of our life experiences, and all we have to do
Is repaint it.
is take the brush and repaint the picture?
If we don't like what we've got. That is a choice we can
That
make.
sounds too simple to be possible.
Then he goes on to say this. Some people dare to look inward, which is what he's wanting us to do, right? Mm-hmm. They take the time to listen to their own thoughts and reflect on their own actions. They ask questions of themselves. Am I really this kind of person? In other words, they actually talk to their voice inside their head.
So, Gary, in the modern time right now, we see people who have said things or posted things, and it's cost them their job or even their career. But the first thing that they say is, that's not who I am. I said those things, but that's not really me. That's kind of what you're talking about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. They made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
They let me get carried away.
They let the experiences of life come out.
They let the voice in their head take control. And when that voice took control, it did something or had them do something that more likely than not wasn't them.
So when they evaluated it and they said, that's crazy, I made this statement, but that's not really who I am down deep.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I believe that.
So it really isn't.
Yeah, but they fell into the voice in their head that told them to do it, and then they did it. And
it cost them greatly.
And he goes on. I will read you a little bit more about what he has to say about this me stuff. Some people dare to look inward. They take the time to listen to their own thoughts and reflect on their own actions. They ask questions of themselves. Am I really this kind of person?
Oh, that's so scary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure on you to evaluate yourself and to say, is this really who I am?
In essence, what he's saying is you need to be talking to yourself, that voice that's trying to get you to say something, and say to them, am I really this type of person? Okay? Then he goes on. Are these feelings genuine? If I'd known I had a choice, would I have done it the same way? They catch themselves in mid-reaction and change their response. In other words, they probably use a 24-hour rule.
Absolutely.
They find emotional balance. That's what it means to be present. That's how we become healthier in mind and spirit. By observing, we can all learn. By modifying the voice in our heads, we have a chance to grow wise.
So when people make statements like, I would never say that, or I would never do that, or I don't believe that, they're telling the truth if they had a 24-hour period to evaluate and sincerely look inwardly.
Some people, I'm going to read you a little more about it. Some people stop believing their thoughts altogether, and an important thing then happens. Because once the voice in our head loses its authority, it turns silent, and it quits trying to cause us harm.
Wow. This is right in connection with what you've been talking about the last several weeks.
And then he says we can observe events and then respond genuinely for real. We're used to reacting in unexpected ways. We're used to seeing things as we've been taught to see them, and as we prefer to see them. Once we stop lying to ourselves and listening to that voice, all that is left is the truth. All that is left is authenticity, something we lost in our storytelling of our life about me.
See,
I just thought that's interesting stuff to read to you folks.
And when you're reading that, I'm thinking about what you told us about driving a car. You said, Keith, you almost drive a car on memory. You're not even paying attention because you've been down this road so many times before. So when you're reading about some of the things that we do or we say, it's like we're on automatic. Responses come out from memories instead of us paying attention and saying, how do I really feel about this?
Responses come from that voice in our head, the one that more likely than not is the one that's going to be lying to you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you enough, my friends, how dishonest that voice in your head is.
The one voice.
The one voice,
yeah.
That one voice that is constantly talking to you negative, that's constantly putting you down, that's constantly making you hesitate about doing the things that you need to improve yourself and to go forward. That voice is a liar.
You know what was surprising is the author's comment about most people didn't know they had a choice.
Yes, sir.
They didn't realize that they had the other voice, or that they could take the time and say, do I really feel this way? Do I really want to say these things? Or do I even believe that?
Or is this me?
Is it me talking, or is it just my life experiences that are talking?
Or is it that voice in my head that will not hesitate to lie to me to get me in trouble?
You know, the deeper this gets, I keep thinking you're right. People are going to listen to this and say, Gary, where have you and Keith gone down this rabbit hole of talking about all this stuff? But it is amazing to think about it, isn't it?
I'm talking to you folks about this stuff for one simple reason. The purpose of this program is to try for us to have a little bit of happiness this year, right?
And you're happier when you have people around you, you have friends, colleagues that like you.
If you can learn to deal with, make friends with, whatever, that voice in your head, you have a shot at happiness. Talk to it, do whatever, reason with it, argue with it, whatever, because it will make you miserable, it will make you depressed, it will make you feel gloom and doom, and you will not even know it's doing it to you. So be aware of it, my friends. Remember, you want a chance at being happy. Deal with that voice in your head.
You know, I saw it again over the weekend. They had the Country Music Awards, and one of the guys that won the award was saying how he dealt with depression to the point he wanted to quit music, and he couldn't continue on because he was so depressed because of what he was hearing in his head. And I said, here's what my friend Gary is talking about, and there is no one that can escape it unless you learn to deal with it.
Well, used to, we said you got to not listen to the chatterbox.
You got to tell it to shut up?
Tell it to shut up?
Yeah, that didn't
That's
work.
not going to happen.
That didn't work.
I was wrong on that. A chatterbox is going to talk.
Yeah.
The question is, what are you going to teach it to start saying? And that's when you have to just talk to it and reason with it.
You know, you did a perfect example when you talked about the individual that's out there saying, but Gary, I'm not worthy. All these good things couldn't happen to me. And you said, ask the voice, why? Why shouldn't it happen to me? Why shouldn't good things befall upon me?
Why are other people more worthy than me? Huh? Explain to me.
Why are other people got happiness and I don't?
Why am I a little person? I want you to explain it to me. I was born just like everybody else, right?
Well, and you started the program off with 130 trillion chances, so now you've got to say, I'm a 1 in 130 trillion. Why shouldn't I expect all of the good things that Gary's talking about?
And why am I not important? Explain to me, voice in my head, why I'm not important.
Yeah, let's see what you do with this argument.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go with that?
And then, my friends, you can start to be happy.
You know, I've come to the conclusion of this, Gary. Every minute that we can be happy and not be sad or depressed, or every day or every week, what a blessing.
It is.
If we steal that moment or that hour or that day, think about what that's worth.
And always remember, you won the big lottery.
The biggest.
You were given a chance to be alive. Treasure it beyond all measures. Treasure it.
Yeah.
That gift of being born. Ooh-wee.
You know, somebody tuned into this program, probably by chance, going through the dial, and said, I'm going to listen to these guys to see what they have to say. And hopefully that one person got the point that you made about how special they are.
And they are. I mean, it's just that simple.
My friend, good lesson. 130 trillion. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? I think everywhere I go today, I'm going to tell people, do you know I'm a 1 in 130 trillion?
It's actually more than that.
Okay, good. That makes me even feel better. You can catch Gary's television show Tuesday nights on WYMT in Eastern Kentucky, your CBS affiliate. 7 p.m. is the show time. A late-night replay is on your CBS affiliate in Central Kentucky, WKYT. If you start the week early and the weekend early, you can catch us on your Fox affiliate in Central Kentucky, 6:30 a.m. with the Gary C. Johnson Show. If you would like to get in touch with Gary, speak to him about a personal injury or even about the program, it's Gary at GaryCJohnson.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of my friend Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casefold as always. Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.
Thank you for listening to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.
If you're hurt injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
I'm Gary C. Johnson. You've seen these billboards and ads that say size matters. I agree. The size that matters is the size of the results the law firm gets for their clients. We have several multi-million-dollar verdicts here in Kentucky. In fact, our firm owns the record for the single largest personal injury verdict in the state of Kentucky. That's the size that matters to you. In Kentucky, give our firm the call.